So we'll begin this Yin Yang practice seated, and then we'll just kind of see where the rest of practice takes us. But let's begin with that little bit of an internal inventory this morning. Setting yourself up so that you feel rooted and supported from your navel center down. And then reaching tall into space, little by little, starting to stretch yourself up, getting a little bit taller in your seat. And then inviting the shoulders to drop down and away from the ears, even squeeze into the shoulder blades a little bit on the back side of the body for a moment, just to feel into that sensation of release and space. And then allow for that efforting to soften as you close your eyes if you haven't already done so. And welcoming yourself into your space, onto your mat. Gradually letting the events of your morning, the toing and froing, the planning, start to fall away. Just let yourself breathe here. A gentle, natural breath. Just let yourself land. And reminding yourself there's always, always, always that open permission to do or not do any part of practice. And hopefully you honor that within yourself, within your own practice. And from that place of open permission, starting to check in with yourself, notice your physical body and what it might be craving or resisting in this moment. Notice the state of your emotions. Maybe there's something just sitting underneath the surface that you can easily identify. Or maybe it's more of a conversation back and forth between your emotional world and your body as your body holds those feelings and thoughts and sensations. And see if you can slow down the thinking mind, the chatter. Can you, for just a moment, bring all of those thought processes to a halt and take a breath with a bit of clear space? And it's not that we're seeking to stop all thinking forever and evermore. It's just seeing if we can abide in a quiet space, even if it's just for a couple of moments before the thoughts start up again. When we think about edges, those places that we can tiptoe up to, body, heart, and mind, where it feels like we might be teetering on a ledge. with the potential to maybe go just a little too far, or maybe we step back a little too much and it feels excessively safe. So, the invitation to you throughout this practice is to explore your edges, seeing if you can nudge up against sensations in your physical body. See if you can meet emotions as they rise and fall without judgment. Just being curious about how we choose to surrender and engage in our own practices. And from this place, rather than using sound to open practice, we're going to use breath. So the invitation will be to do 3 quick inhales through the nose and then let that breath go with a deep sigh, maybe even a bit of a growl or a hum. And we'll go through this cycling 3 times. So it's 3 quick inhales and then 1 long audible exhale that we're working with. Making sure there's length in your spine, maybe readjusting your seat. Take 1 full deep breath in and let it go. Relax your shoulders, relax your body as much as you can. Spine is tall. 3 quick inhales. Let it go. And do that again. And one last time. And from here, setting into a rhythm of breath that feels supportive for you, rearranging your seat if necessary. We'll tuck the chin down and in towards the chest. Allow the head to get heavy. And then we'll invite the right ear to roll over towards the right shoulder. Option to take your right hand, wrap it around to the left side of the head and just open that space a little bit more. And then taking the hand away from the side of the head if it was in place. Turn your chin down towards that right shoulder. Nice deep breath in. And let it go. Chin rolls its way towards the chest. Another clearing round of breath here. Left ear makes its way over towards the left shoulder with the option to wrap the left hand to the right side of the head and just add a little bit of extra pressure, inviting a little more release. Remembering to breathe. Releasing the hand if it had wrapped to the side of the head, and then gradually dropping the chin over towards that left shoulder. Take a nice deep breath in here. Letting it go. Chin drops down towards the chest. Another releasing round of breath. Inviting the head to come back to a level space. And we'll just stretch out the legs for a moment, just changing your position. Maybe you need to shake and wiggle here. Maybe you prefer to be in stillness. All right. So we're going to come into Dragonfly Pose as our first yin posture. You may wish to have block or maybe folded up blanket or something with you. And we're taking the legs as wide as we can get them based on what your body is willing to entertain today. And bringing that notion of edges into your practice right away. So looking for that deep, achy, feels like you could almost overstretch within the groin and the inner thigh here. And you just kind of make peace with that edgy little place. Knowing that if you've got the rear tilt to the pelvis, always taking the time to wedge up your sits bones with blanket or rolled edge of mat. So let's just explore a tiny bit of movement here, side to side, kind of anchors into this, ooh, I can really feel that stretch, and then you feel it decrease on the other side. So really befriending these edgy-like sensations here. And then see if you can settle into center, inviting those legs to relax. So it doesn't matter which way your feet flop, that's all dependent on bones. What matters is that you're encouraging all of those big groupings of muscles to take a break, to try and disengage them. And this is where, as we start to lean forward, maybe having a bit of a support could be helpful for you. If reaching to the ground feels too edgy and too sensational in your body, you can bring the ground up to you with block or blanket or some other form of prop. And little by little, as you start to drop into a place of stillness, you begin to anchor your attention to breath and exploring the possibility of settling, of being able to inhabit a slightly edgy place and simply breathe in, around, and through those sensations to gradually befriend them. Always bringing yourself back to breath anytime that you find yourself getting distracted by those run amok thoughts and sensations. And sometimes when you're really nudging up against the tough ally of your body and the stories it likes to tell, sending your breath into those chattery spaces, lending your attention there can help to ease the fits and fury that might be present. What does this curious exploration of edge look like for you today? We'll come to dedicate 3 more rich and deep breaths to this dragonfly pose. Maybe you choose to do that 3 quick inhales and then a sighing release as your transitionary breathing. And as you're ready, taking your time coming out, being oh so mindful of the sensations that start to run wild, and taking your time as you relieve your body of what might have been a deep tension. Lean back on the hands, let the body open up, and just bear witness to those ripples and waves as they work their way through. And then we'll come to bring ourselves over to hands and knees. So starting out in tabletop, as you reorient yourself, fanning out nice and wide through those fingers and just taking a moment here, subtly pulling in through the lower abdominals, tucking your tailbone. You might be in the midst of another layer of rebound in your body. So just honoring that if you're experiencing a massive second wave of release sensations. And then we invite the movement of cow and cat into our practice. With the inhale, the belly slowly drops, the crown and the tail float. And then we exhale, follow that breath all the way to empty as the natural contraction happens in your body. Head and tail drop as you round out your spine. And just letting yourself explore this cow-cat motion 3 or 4 more times in your practice. And then coming back to your tabletop after your next round of cow and cat. And from here, we're going to step forward with right foot. So we're setting up for a bit of a low lunge or a bit of play within the lunge. If you have sensitive knees, just taking a moment to pad up that left knee. And then we're setting in here. So we're wading into the right foot, letting that left leg go as far back as your body can entertain. So we're getting into the psoas, the hip flexor here, one of the hip flexors. And you're just letting yourself pulse in and out. So your lunge might look vastly different from mine, and that's okay. It's about listening to the body and, of course, choosing to do or not do based on what your body is communicating with you. And it might be more of an energetic resistance rather than a physical resistance. So be mindful of that. And then see if you can sink into your lunge here. Letting your hips get heavy, however you've set yourself up. And let's take the arms overhead interlace all the fingers and then turn the palms up towards the sky. Nice and tall here. And then we'll release the hands from above, take them in behind, interlace all those fingers, draw down towards your tailbone so we're opening across the chest. Possibility of a forward fold here, so just based on what your body is willing to entertain. Inhale, draw down on those fingers. Exhale, fold forward. Lean into that thigh and see about maybe pulling the hands away from the body. And then slowly releasing, let the hands come down towards the mat. Bend into your left knee, straighten the right leg, and sink back a little bit, getting into the calves and the hamstrings. And you'll inch forward enough, supporting yourself however you need to, so that you can shuffle, wiggle, step back with that right leg. And just find tabletop. Always good to make sure you don't have lots of wrinkles in this padding that you're using underneath your knees. So from your tabletop, let's just do one wave of the spine through cow and cat. Belly comes low with your inhale. Spine rounds with the exhale. And then release back to your neutral spine. We invite that left foot forward now. Settling into a lunge variant here. And again, just letting yourself pulse in and out for this first little bit, exploring sensation, kind of nudging up against those edgy places if you're willing to go there today. Our hip flexors hold a lot of emotional type stuff, just like our hips. And with all the sitting and that we're doing these days, the psoas is contracting, it's shortening. So we need to do stuff like this to open it up. Settling into stillness if you were still playing in and out. And let's take those arms up overhead, interlacing the fingers, flipping the palms up towards the sky again. Breathing here. And then we release the hands, bring them down behind the body, interlace the fingers again, and draw down, opening across the chest. And this might be enough for you, and you stay here. The next layer is to explore a bit of a fold. So inhaling, drawing down on those arms, opening the chest. Exhale, maybe folding forward. And then we let it go. Hands come down to the floor. Bend into the right knee, roll up onto the heel of the left leg. Sit back a little bit, waking through calves and hamstrings on that left leg. And then we inch ourselves forward to a place where we can shuffle, wiggle, step. Bring that leg back underneath us. One cow and cat. Inhale, belly low, let the crown and the tail stretch up. And then exhale, round. Releasing from here, we'll sit ourselves back down and we'll explore butterfly pose. Inviting the soles of the feet to come around in front, creating a wide diamond shape. And maybe that block comes back into your practice for a little bit of a support. And raising the base, the hips, if you've got that little backwards pull in your pelvis. And let's wiggle side to side, kind of befriending those tight spaces in that low back, kind of side waist area. If you found your breath rate started to pick up when we were doing that lunge exploration, see if you can start to scale it back, slow it down as we come into our quieter yin poses. And when you feel this little bit of movement has alleviated some of the tension through the back and the waist, you can pause there and invite the body to begin to curl and round forward if it feels okay to do so. Again, exploring edges within your mental, physical, energetic bodies. Perhaps butterfly feels like home in your body, and there's a great deal of ease and joy here. Or maybe butterfly is one of your nemesis poses today and you're extra sensory. So how can you walk those lines with the utmost love and respect for yourself and for your practice today? Letting the head drop if it feels okay. And maybe you soften your experience of butterfly by bringing a prop in to support you, to perhaps soften those edgy sensations a little more. Eventually settling in, cultivating some sense of stillness here, a willingness to receive and release with every breath. Three more rounds of breath in your butterfly form. Maybe it's just a straight in and out breath, or maybe you invite that triple inhale, single exhale back into your practice. Whenever you've completed your 3 breath offerings, taking your time as you once again come out. Always respecting the sensations, letting everything open up. Maybe you take a bit of a caterpillar pose as your rebound in this moment, or maybe you're coming back onto the hands again, really opening up into that almost beach repose, just imagining yourself hanging out on a beach for a moment. And we'll come to bring ourselves over onto our bellies on the mat. So we're going to start with a little bit of flowing cobra, and then we're going to come into sphinx and seal. So we start with the hands underneath the shoulders, elbows close to the ribs. And little by little, you lower your chest down. Push the tops of your feet into the mat. So you're really anchoring your tail. And then see about trying to slide yourself on your mat. Pull your body forward slightly. And from here, we roll the shoulders back, gently lift the chest, coming only as high as your body is willing to entertain. On an exhale, slowly lower all the way down back to the mat. Inhale, push up and away, lifting. Head's the last thing to come up. And then as you exhale, lower, and the head is the last thing to come down. And just keep going with your own intuitive wave through this notion of a flowing cobra. You'll let yourself go through one more. And then we release, slide the forearms forward, elbows still staying close to the body. They're now not quite under the shoulder, they're just a little bit ahead. Forearms are parallel to one another as you're holding your chest up. And then we're gonna rock through the hips to get everything from that low back space all the way down to the toes to relax. And then you allow the movement in your tail portion to subside. Allow the rib cage to drape towards the floor. Shoulders can slide up towards the ears. And if it feels okay to let the head drop, then exploring that. As you breathe in, scan your body from head to toe and from the ground back up again. Notice where you might still be holding on with tension. See if you can relax from your mid-spine all the way down to your toes. And sometimes getting the release to happen kind of goes in tandem with the breath. Other days, the softening is almost natural and there's no need to pay attention at all. Maybe it's just the occasional reminder to relax that comes into your practice. And if you're here and Sphinx pose is feeling pretty decent, and you feel like you would appreciate exploring a deeper back bend, the option to come into seal pose is here, where you turn the forearms out about 45 degrees so the thumbs are pointing forward, and then we push away from the ground, lifting the ribs, kind of resetting through the pelvis. And then we encourage all of the muscles that just fired up in the lifting, if you're joining me, to once again relax as much as possible. Letting the head dangle, always an option. Where is that little dance between too edgy and not edgy enough in your practice in this moment? Maybe you've lifted into seal pose and it's starting to feel extreme and you can't seem to get around the sensations with breath. And if that's the case, then maybe you've overstepped and you need to lower down. Just remembering to default to that inner wisdom of your own body. Two more breaths here. And no matter which back bend you were in, taking your time as you lower down, either entering into prone crucifix, arms reaching out to the side, forehead to the mat, or you take more of the prone resting pose and you just stack hands to support your forehead, doing your best to keep the spine neutral, so not turning the head one way or the other. Settling in here, allowing the body to go through its own recalibration process. A grand tornado swirling around in your low back and hips slowly starts to blow itself out. The longer that you stay in stillness, intensity gradually dwindles. It just takes a little while longer for the systems to reset after getting into the low back space. And bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, slowly lifting your body through to a tabletop. Can almost guarantee you're going to get another wave of release here. So breathe into that. Respect the process. Anchor yourself to your breath as you go through this next wave. And then we'll come to send the hips back towards the heels. Take a bit of a child's pose. Maybe you don't feel it coming too far down, or maybe you feel like getting really low, widening the knees and almost coming to hug the floor. So find your fit here. And then we'll invite our bodies to come over onto backs on the mat. And we'll slowly lower down, draw the knees in towards the chest, and just invite the body to rock side to side. We'll lower the feet to the ground, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Just pausing here for a moment. And there might be lingering sensations from the various postures we've done up to this point. Being curious about those if you happen to be in that witnessing state, still feeling a little bit of the fallout. Just continue to breathe. And bringing the heels in fairly close towards the buttocks. We're going to draw the left knee in towards the chest. Keep the right foot planted to the ground. And as you exhale, squeeze that knee tighter in towards your body, whether you're holding the top of the shin or underneath the knee. Use your exhales to squeeze and then inhale, a little release. And the next time that you're drawing your knee tight towards the chest, stay there. Point and flex your left foot. Roll through the ankle. And then you'll soften the hold. Left hand still gripping onto that left knee. Let's just open the leg out to the side. And you could bring your left hand to the inside of the knee here. Add a little bit of pressure if you'd like. Trying to keep your sits bones grounded. So once you reach that edge where you start pulling the right hip off the ground, you stay there, firmly planted. And then we'll scoop up that left leg, cross it all the way over to the right side and find a spinal twist here. Opening that left arm away from you, maybe even dragging it along the floor to elicit stronger sensations through the arm and the chest. Beautiful deep breaths here. And over the next breath or two, gradually unwinding, bringing yourself back to center, feet to the ground. Just take a moment to be still before we switch over to the other side. Noticing the subtle differences that might be present in this moment. And once again, walking the heels in as close to the buttocks as possible. We now invite the right knee towards the chest, bracing it in. As you exhale, squeeze, draw the knee tighter to you. Inhale, let it retract slightly. Again, either the hand to the shin or tucking them underneath the knee. Exhale, squeeze, get that knee closer. Inhale, allow the space to rebound slightly. And the next time that you're exhaling and squeezing, keep that leg tucked tight towards your body. Start to point and flex through that right foot and roll through the ankle a few times. And then you gently release, right hand supporting that knee. Start to open the leg out to the side again, exploring that range of motion and getting to that point where you feel the opening is starting to tug the left side of the pelvis up. And that's where you're going to stay, is just before you rock off the ground. We've got one more breath here. Using that right hand to scoop that right leg up, cross it all the way over to the left, come into a spinal twist, and opening that left arm away from you, or the right arm, pardon me, and maybe playing with a little bit of motion to elicit a stronger release sensation through the arm into the chest. Beautiful deep breaths here as you invite the body to relax as much as possible. One more breath in your twist. And bringing everything back to center, unwinding. Allow yourself to pause in this neutral spine for a moment. And checking in with that little inner compass of yours. What would you need in this moment to help you fully soften and surrender? What would best serve you as your final resting pose? Is it to stay exactly as you are? Is it to tuck a blanket under your head or your knees, or maybe to cover up? Maybe you feel you want to turn over onto your belly and rest there. What does your resting point look like today? Letting all expectations completely dissolve. Allowing for all the curious and wonderful lingering sensations of your practice to move through. You allow yourself to be still, to get heavier and heavier with every passing moment. Just letting the ground hold you. Just this. First strike of the bowl brings your awareness back to you, back to your space. As the second strike of the bowl invites your awareness to breath, body, heart, and mind as they are now. Allowing for the third strike of the bowl to be that invitation back to a more awakened state, Just taking your time as you start to stretch and wiggle and roll in ways that feel good, in ways that nourish you. And when you're ready, you find your way up towards sitting, coming back to that tall, grounded, and spacious seat from where our practice began. And just taking a moment as you invite hands to either join at heart or maybe they come to rest somewhere else on your body. Just take a moment to check in with yourself. To the play between softening and edges, to the inner listening, choosing whether to engage or not. And we'll do one round of the triple inhale, single exhale. When you're ready, breathing in and let it go. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.